last night I had a dream where there were these vampires, mostly women, who were wanting me to give up my will to them. And they were very upset that I refused to give up my will. And so they knew that my blood was precious. They didn't want to kill me, but they wanted to take my will from me, my life force. And the only way that they could do that was to actually, take as much blood from me as possible without killing me. And so that's what they did. And they licked their fingers after they bit my neck, and then they had their fingers put on the bite marks and it healed. So they bit me and healed me, but yet I was very weak when I woke up, and it was this draining sense of when you just feel drained sometimes, even though you got great sleep. I just felt very drained, and I couldn't really sleep after that, even though there was plenty of time left to go to sleep, and just kind of tossing and turning all night. It was very uncomfortable, but it inspired me to make this video because women will obsess over you when they don't know how to break you spiritually. And it's like when you become unbreakable in your spirit as a man, they might do things that are reprehensible to you, but if they can't break you, they're going to be obsessed with you. And there's a thing that is out there right now where a lot of people, especially when it comes to the spiritual side of things, people believe that the biology and the spirit are separate, and that's not true. Okay, it's just not true. It is separate, but it's not separate. It's a paradox in the sense that it's part of you, but it's not actually a part of you. Because when you go to sleep at night, right, when you dream, you're leaving your body, basically. You leave your body. And so in that sense, I can understand it. But your body still is the satellite vehicle. And I think that to misunderstand that is to misunderstand the whole psychophysiology of people in general, and just spirituality in general. But the main thing that I want to touch on, now that we've given this background and foundation, is now we can analyze, okay, why is it the case that women are obsessed with you when you are spiritually unbreakable? Well, because women want a leader. They might not admit it. They might say that they don't need a man, all these things. And yet at the same time, they, biologically speaking, they crave a man who is capable of this kind of leadership. They crave a man who they cannot control. And yet they want to tame the beast. Why do you think Beauty and the Beast is so popular, for example? Well, it's because Belle has to have this fantasy. She has this fantasy of training the beast, the good beast, though. Not Gaston, who is just kind of like a tyrant, and he just wants to use Belle. Whereas the beast, he actually is a beast, but he develops this affection for Belle through time because Belle's presence is able to allow him to soften himself but still be the beast that he needs to be. And so that's a very balanced masculine feminine polarity, right? That's exactly what happens in these kinds of relationships. And every single time without fail, I can't think of one time where I've held my frame as a man and women have hated me for it. They might hate me for it, but they don't hate me for it. You know what I mean? If you don't know what I mean, then you probably haven't experienced it. But if you know what I mean, then you'll know what I mean. Because it's like that dream that I had last night, right? It's where these women, some of them, they just want to take you. They just want to abuse your strength. They want to take from you. Because really, at the end of the day, women are going to take from you, or they're going to multiply what you have. This is something that's very basic. And you can lead women or you can leave women. There's really no in between. Look at the story of Adam and Eve, right? You can look at how you can lead them. You can look at how you are falling into their trap, because Eve, maybe she didn't intend for Adam to lose himself, but that's kind of what happened, right? And remember that in paradise, to get back to paradise rather, Adam and Eve have to go through the sword of flames held by an angel. Okay? I don't think that's a coincidence as far as the imagery is concerned. It's very prominent to the telling story about humanity and male and female in general, and the unison that must take place in order for there to be some kind of spiritual marriage, so to speak. Because a spiritual marriage, I use these terms not loosely because they're very real, but in the sense of being spiritually married is when you are having a sexually intimate relationship with another person. You are spiritually married to that person. And so if you're going out and you're hooking up with this person and that person, this person, that person, you might be developing more soul ties and more spiritual marriages than you might not even realize. And so it's very dangerous for your soul to be doing this kind of thing, because the act of this, I don't know if you guys can hear that wind, hopefully not, but it is very windy outside right now. Wowzers. It's been super nice all day, and over the last 20 minutes or so, it's just been very windy. Definitely a storm coming in. But anyways, so the polarity between masculinity and femininity occurs when you must recognize as a man that if you have an indomitable spirit, you're going to inspire your woman to want to be devoted to you. And I think that this is something that most men don't know what it's like to have a woman want to be devoted to them. Most men cannot inspire a woman to be devoted to them, because there's a very deep sense of devotion that I've gotten from women who maybe they're not the best women in the world. I wouldn't want to wife them up per se, but they're very devoted. Like, they would do anything for me. I know that. And I don't like I'm not going to use them per se. I'm not going to put them just in the F only zone either. I'm not going to be that kind of person. I'm not a fling kind of person. Because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to just feel used, and whether it's for your mind or whether it's for your personality or whatever, it's just like that dream, right? These women, the vampires in the dream, they just wanted me for my will. They didn't really want me for me, but they knew that they had to keep me alive. And that was the dream. The dream space is the only space that they can actually take from me. And, you know, that's because the devil is a coward, right? And all of his minions are cowards. And so they're going to only confront you when they know that they're going to win. And they can't get you in the physical through other people, because I genuinely believe vampires, for example, it's a very deep archetype and archetypal theme for the last few hundred years. And I think it's for a reason. I mean, why is it the case that as an archetype, vampires naturally are pale-skinned? You know, they don't really, like, they might be beautiful, but they don't really radiate beauty in the sense of vibrant aliveness. It's more just like this vortex of death that is just very awe-inspiring to look at. Think about all of the vampire movies that you've ever seen, and think about all of the types of women or men. Like, I was thinking about this yesterday, the comparing and contrasting between vampires like the movie Interview with a Vampire with Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, and Antonio Banderas. And then you have something like Twilight, where you have the Robert Pattinson and all those other, you know, whatever. I can't remember all their names, but I remember the names of the characters more, like Edward and Carlisle and all that, but I don't remember all of that other stuff. But the point is like the contrast is very much so different in the sense of like what happens with the vampires in the sunlight, or how they drink blood or whatnot. But the archetypal theme is still the same, that they're going to take life in some way, shape, or form. They can move fast. They're very pale. They look like they are normal on the outside, but they still feel like people around them still feel something is off about them or something's different about them, but they can't quite tell what. They always look like they're kind of dead. And that's exactly with the Interview with the Vampire, as well as the Twilight stuff, for example, just for an example. I'm sure there's other vampire stories that you can muster up, but those seem to be, like, as far as the collective consciousness is concerned, most resonant. And, well, what does that mean? It means vampires, archetypally speaking, those who can channel this vampiric energy, they often do move things very fast, whether it's in the actual relationship or the situation, etc. I mean, think about all the times you've been around people that have just taken your energy. They kind of came and went without you even realizing it, right? I mean, that's an interesting parallel. And then they suck your life away, right? They definitely do that. Being around a narcissist is absolutely like that. You just feel like they're constantly bleeding you out, and then they heal you again just so that they can destroy you again. And, you know, when you refuse to participate in these kinds of things, that's when the vampires almost get like, oh, now I have to have this person. They just become weirdly obsessed. And there's also this very erotic energy about vampires as well. And I would say, and I would venture to guess, that that kind of comes from the Jezebel spirit a little bit as well, at least hints of it. And so what I've noticed is that people who have this vampiric energy about them, they might have like pale skin, even though maybe they have a lot of melanin in their skin or whatever. There's this paleness about them. And even people that are white, and they don't have this glow, they don't have this radiance of life. They have this pale, even though they might be beautiful to look at, they're just, you can see that death is written on their eyes, man. Like it's just you look in their eyes and you can just see that there's no life there. Like with my eyes, people have said in the videos that they've watched with my eyes that my eyes are like glass, and that they can see through my eyes like it's just this glass full of light. That's their words, right? It's not my words. But I've also gotten women in the past who have said that my eyes are like hypnotizing because they're just so in depth. One woman even said she feels like she could see the universe in my eyes. And I don't think that that's any coincidence, because of course this was over the last couple of years, and ever since I started to follow Christ, things just started to get better, of course. And this is something else that women are going to obsess over you when they can't break you spiritually. They're going to see that you have this light about you. They're going to see that they cannot deter you from your course. And that's going to just, it gets them going in a very strange way. It gets them going in a very strange way sometimes, because especially if the woman like wants to corrupt you. Like I've had women tell me, I seem very innocent, or I seem like somebody that's pretending to be innocent. And I don't really know why they think this exactly. This is just what I've been told. And I think the reason that they might think that is because I'm just authentic when I am expressing myself. I'm not trying to hide anything necessarily, but I'm not trying to not hide something either. Like it's not that I have something to hide, but it's not that I'm going to give you everything at first glance as well, but you have to be open and transparent to some degree. You have to. It's just the way that life is, right? And if you can be open and honest with a woman, not necessarily vulnerable, but you're capable of being vulnerable in the sense that it doesn't affect her safety, that's also going to be a very big turn on for her. Because something that I've told women in the past is like, yeah, because I noticed that they got like attracted to me after I was talking about this, just like the journey that I've gone through and all of that, and how despite all of these things, like let's say, for example, like me being fat in the past, I used to be almost 200 pounds at 5'6", okay? So I was a hefty boy. And now I'm at 155. So I've lost a lot of weight, basically, like that's over the past 4 or 5 years. And when I say that to a woman, like, oh yeah, I used to be fat and now, now I'm not, and now I have this new lifestyle, that's like a form of vulnerability that doesn't affect her safety. And now she sees that, okay, now he's capable of changing himself on his own terms. And I don't know if they think that consciously, but subconsciously that's definitely there. And I think that that's one of the reasons why you can also become an obsessive object for women, because sometimes women don't see you as a subject, they see you as an object. And you got to be determining and have discernment on whether or not women are going to see you certain ways. You have to know how a woman sees you. That's number one priority. Because if she just sees you as something, something whatever, then like she wants to just have fun with you, basically. Because I've had a lot of women, they want to just they just want to have that fun with me. And while that's flattering, it's not what I'm looking for. But it's also like, if you come across as too husband materially, they don't see you as someone that's sexually attractive. At least nowadays. Nowadays, that's just not the case. Because I'm sure, as most of you know, being called husband material is like an insult now, because it means that, you're a great provider, but you're not really sexy. And so the key is also, if anybody's never read this book, basically at one point, it's a very, very interesting book, but Parzival, who is looking for the, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this? Parzival is looking for the Holy Grail. He's looking for the Holy Grail. And in order to find the Holy Grail, he's not supposed to seduce a person. He can't seduce a woman in order to find the Holy Grail. He cannot seduce a woman, but that doesn't mean that he can't be expressing what he wants from her, though, and what he desires from her. Because there's a difference between seducing and just pursuing, right? And so you have to have a sense of maturity about this. And so if you have that sense of maturity, women will be obsessed with you because you're standing on business, you're not messing around, but you're also expressing what you want and desire from her. And that's, quite frankly, a turn on for them. But anyways, guys, I hope this video was useful and insightful for you. I hope that everybody has a blessed rest of your evening, and be sure to check out the Regal Change Academy. I do have a big announcement coming up for everybody that's curious about the semen retention journey and all of that. I do have a free event coming up that will be available for everybody to attend, but I will have to get back to you guys on the specifics of that. But I'll give you guys a sneak preview right now just about that, so that you can be sure to make sure that your calendars are open, and you put something in your calendars and have something open down the line for that reason. And also, if you want to schedule a one-on-one mentorship call with me, feel free to reach out to Regal Change, the Regal Change website, or regalchange@gmail.com. All right. So peace be with you all. Until next time.